to win 50% of the national vote plus one, it's not an easy thing. To win 24 counties out of the 47 is really, really an uphill task. And if you go by the recent opinion polls, no single candidate can manage it. And it's almost impossible for even the so-called bigger communities to marshal that. Even in the event that they have safely done that, how will they ensure that out of the 349 MPs, they control the stronger majority so that they can sell their agenda in parliament? So it's really a very difficult ballgame. And if you look at all these politicians, these are people who have tea together, they're businesses together, they're directors of same companies. Let nobody cheat you that they are any enemies any far. They speak with each other. Raila, Ruto, Musalia, for example, were in one party for a very long time, drinking from the same pot, sharing a bottle of water. So what is it that made them differ? And why are they trying to reorganize, how to reunite? And why is the reunion very difficult now? The big question for Kenyans is who among candidates can really be a servant leader? And the answer, your guess, is as good as mine.
Was it a surprise for Kenyans to see Raila Odinga go out and issue an apology to the Kalenjin community? And now we are seeing some of the Kalenjin leaders or from the Rift Valley saying that he needs to be clear about what he's exactly apologizing about or for.
Politicians are the same. And you'll hear more statements. You'll hear, this is the apology time. They have to go on their knees now begging for votes because those numbers are very crucial. They either make your career or they send you packing forever. So it's very normal to go and kneel down. And as for apology, yes, he should be telling us what exactly is apologizing about. But I think there's also been a lot of backlash from the question of ICC cases, and he's been saying, even before he apologized, that he did not take anybody to The Hague, and that it's parliamentarians themselves, including their own MPs, who voted that let's go to The Hague, let's not be vague. So he's just trying to explain that in a better way, and that is what has been happening. And we're yet to see more of the apologies coming.
All right, let's shift a little bit from the politics, and still on the top page of the Standard newspaper today, the judges, the vetting of the judges. And yesterday, the High Court issued a ruling, and 4 of the judges, 3 of them are Court of Appeal, appellate judges, and one of them, Jane Gasheshe of the High Court, were reinstated or granted temporal reprieve, so stopping the president from firing them. And the judges and magistrate vetting board was given the go-ahead to continue with its work. But the question and concern is, this is a court whose judges are also bound to be vetted by this same board. Shouldn't the ruling of the vetting board be final?
Well, in the original intention, it was the ruling of the vetting board was meant to be final. But as the game kept on changing, those who were blocked said, we think we have cases, and they've been looking for, fault lines within the ruling and try to poke holes and really what has happened to them. But the bigger game here is the question of integrity, because if they are sent packing, then you're sending a very strong signal to the wider Kenyan population that we are going to set very high benchmarks for any leadership position, for any state officers, for the judicial officers as well. And it has even very strong implications for those vying for political offices, including presidency, governors, and so on. So if your integrity has been questioned, then in short it means you are not fit to assume leadership position.
Right.
And borrowing from Chief Justice's comments, that we should read a little more about the Mumo Matemo judgment, I think it sends a very clear signal for this country. We either choose that we want to fight impunity and maintain high standards of integrity in our leadership systems and cadres, or we play the ball and encourage impunity as before.
All right. And even the Daily Nation on its top page still talking about the same LSK fury as courts bar sacking of 5 judges. So this is not a welcome decision by most quarters.
Yes, I think LSK have a very good case there. The professionals in the law itself, they have been the victims about questionable judicial decisions and the work from the courts. So I think they really know what they are calling for. If we really want a clean judiciary, then we must decide that those who have failed the integrity test, and there is evidence, must just be shown the door. They can take their packs and go home. Why don't you just say bye? I think they are very competent Kenyans, very honest Kenyans, with very good characters, both morally and otherwise, who should assume such positions. And if they have the qualifications, I think judiciary must be reformed. And we must really give credit to the way it has tried to do a very good job in a very short time. And I think this is the time that we ensure we have a clean, credible judiciary which is efficient and can serve Kenyans better.
All right, let's move back to politics. And Muthama has been making headlines the past, Johnston Muthama has been making headlines the past couple of days, first hosting Raila, then watching a football game with him, and of course during those occasions calling for a pact between the PM's party, ODM, and the Wiper Democratic Movement. Before that, of course, I remember seeing a tweet from the Vice President saying he will not work with ODM. Since then, it's now not very clear. Do you think Muthama has the blessing of the Vice President as he goes ahead with hosting the Prime Minister and making these proclamations?
I think Muthama has some fair wisdom, if you ask me. He's trying to be populist, and he's also trying to be very realistic about the political scenario that we have now. You can never say never to anybody, because either way the ball game is shaping up, and you must know which team you will belong to. And for me, it's sending a quiet signal to test the waters. What if we had an alliance with the ODM? You know, that is the question. But if you read even this body language of the MPs who are saying the party shall decide, there's no party which will decide. It's the political leaders of that political party that will eventually make a decision. And Muthama is one of them. We know how crucial a cog Muthama has been in the Wiper Democratic Party, in terms of even resources, in terms of thinking, in terms of mobilizing people as Joint Chief Whip. Right. And when that Joint Chief Whip speaks, it's not an ordinary member of the party. So I think there is one way of looking at it, and there's the flip side, which is, if we really don't want Raila, then who do you want?
All right. Yesterday, the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution launched their first ever annual report. I don't know if you watched that. We covered it live. And one of the things that was very clear throughout the process as the speakers issued their statements was the lack of preparedness when it comes to elections. And I remember the Justice Minister, Eugene Wamalwa, gave an example of how Kenyans knew, or rather know so much, or knew for the 1 year that KDF was in Somalia, knew so much about the war there, about the progress that was being done. And with just about 4 months to the general election, there's not much that is known in terms of our preparedness. In fact, confusion reigns. We are hoping, crossing fingers, the BVR kits will be here in good time, although the IEBC has said by 5th, if they're not here, they move on to Plan B. In terms of the implementation process so far, according to what the CIC said, good governance is one of the things that needs to be addressed also very quickly. What's your take in terms of how far they have come, what they have been able to achieve, and their challenges so far?
I think the Nyachaya Commission has done an excellent job. I know he'll be coming to studios later to talk to our viewers one-on-one, and we must really give credit to its strong stand and very firm stand about implementation of the Constitution. Charles has done an excellent job in reminding the government and the state officers that they should never attempt to abrogate or abuse the Constitution or implement it in the wrong way. He was very well remembered for his firm stand against the county commissioners, to an extent that we feared that there would be a lot of backlash, they would starve him of funds, but he soldiered on. I think together with his team, Kamodo Waiganjo, Wanyande and so on, they've done an excellent job in trying to keep on track the implementation process. But the culture is that we are suffering from in this country is that we have a new constitution, but the mindset of political leaders is really based backwards, and is more thinking on the lines of the old constitution. So yes, we have a new constitution, but people want to behave and act in the old days. Why should we have county commissioners? How will we even retain the chiefs? One government officer, yes, they've been protesting for enough days. And it's very clear they have no role in the new system. And we have government officers insisting, we'll give you a role, we'll place you where. Where on earth is it on the Constitution? So we have that challenge of trying to, create the balance between the new Constitution. Do we really accept it by letter and spirit as we endorsed it, as Kenyans endorsed it? Or do we want to still play to the gallery in the scheme that you will win the political support of chiefs? So that has been one of the challenges. And then, again, one credit which I really want to repeat is for CIC, is the implementation of Chapter 6. What kind of leadership? The problem of Kenya has basically been leadership. We did not even need a new constitution if we had honest, good leaders who just implement the vision for this country, the independence vision. Forget about even 2030, Vision 2030. If we had honest leaders, if the government officers, the PS Finance, Joseph Kenya says we lose 300 billion shillings every year to corruption. I mean, that's enough money to pay teachers, to pay doctors.
Right.
So if we can have leaders who can protect public taxes, can protect public institutions, can have systems that work efficiently, then I think this country will really move to the next level. If we are going to have the same crop, we are transiting from the old constitution to the new one, then this country will still suffer a lot of problems ahead. And the warnings have been very clear. Kofi Annan was here the other day, and the challenges are there.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, Ohito, the violence that has rocked Kisumu in the past few days, of course, the police boss there saying that it is not politically motivated, it is just cases of robbery, cases of insecurity. And of course, calls have been made for his resignation. The business community, they are complaining because their property has been destroyed. And of course, 7 lives lost so far. This coming so close to the election, is it very worrying?
Yes, those are bad signals. 7 lives in Kisumu. Yesterday, 13 in Samburu. The other day, we had 100 plus in Tana. And I think these are very wrong signals at the right time for election. And we really must tame down violence, because it's very difficult now to decide whether the violence has been instigated or fueled by political insinuations and so on. But the long and short is that we have police officers in place who are paid by taxpayers, and they have a duty to protect life and property. What are they doing when people are being shot dead in broad daylight? In fact, the crime incidents in Kisumu, if you isolate them, it tells you that the police officer, if I was his boss, I think he stands fired. That is an officer who is not serving the people. Let him show us that he is doing something better. And then the intelligence, we are pumping over 13 billion shillings in the national security intelligence. What is Major General Gishangi and his officers doing? This is the time to call them to action. They have a constitutional duty to protect life and property of Kenyans. The violence in Kisumu has gone on too long. But there's also the flip side of it, which we must look at. That every time police officers in Kisumu apprehend a suspect, criminal suspect, then politicians mobilize youth and they go and protest at police stations. That is also not acceptable. And I think it is a very dicey situation. We must bring the leaders together. We must bring the police officers together and tell them we need order in that city. Okay. But people have lost confidence in that OCPD. I don't know what Matthew Itere is still waiting. He should be transferred or fired instantly.
All right. Parting statement of so far the week that has been. It's Wednesday. What do you see happening politically in the next few days? What should we expect?
It is the week of night meetings and wooing each other. I think if you have very strong political value, then you have as many suitors. So you're going to see many meetings, many apologies, many suitors coming. Yeah. So, and it's very difficult to guess who is going to end up with who. With who? On the aisle of the politics.
But we wait to see. Time will tell. Thank you very much, David. We appreciate you coming in to talk to us this morning, breaking down some of the stories we have been having in the headlines this past week. We'll now take a short break. When we return, as promised earlier, the Commission for the Implementation of the Constitution, CIC, the chairperson, is now in studio and will be joining me shortly, Charles Nyechai, and we'll be talking about how the implementation process is so far. Yesterday they released their first annual report, so I want to talk to him, especially coming so close to the general election, in terms of the electoral laws that have been put in place to ensure that Kenya has a smooth, fair, safe, and of course free general election. So we'll be talking to him about that. Feel free to send in your comments, any questions you might have for him at KTN Kenya is our Twitter handle. 8040 is our SMS number. We will be putting those questions to him as he joins us. We take a short break. Stay with KTN.